Joe Biden wants the US to achieve a 100% clean energy economy and net zero emissions no later than 2050. The Biden plan is a $2 trillion proposal that is more narrow and less aggressive than the far-reaching Green New Deal. Now, the Green New Deal, the main goal of the plan is to bring US greenhouse gas emissions down to net zero by 2030. The Green New Deal also calls for the creation of millions of jobs to provide a job guarantee to all Americans, along with access to nature, clean air and water, healthy food, a sustainable environment, and community resiliency. While many of the concepts in the new Green Deal are also addressed in Biden's climate plan, generally speaking, the Biden plan is more narrowly focused, but it will still cost trillions and trillions of dollars. Blake Christian is a tax partner at Holthouse, Carlin and Van Trigt. Blake, thanks for joining us. And can an economy recovering from COVID-19 take this from Biden?
Nice to see you, Mike. The answer is no. The economy cannot bear the cost of what he has in his plan. Thank God it's a little bit milder than the new Green Deal.
They say they will pay for this by removing Donald Trump's tax cuts. Now, what impact would this have on production and jobs, and will it be a big hit to confidence?
Well, first of all, I was on a call with a number of economists earlier today, and what I think is a bit of a lowball prediction is that with rolling back Donald Trump's 2017 tax cuts, that the GDP will drop by 1%. I think it'll be much larger than that. It just really makes no sense. And the frustrating part is really Biden's plan really doesn't call for using much of these funds to reduce the deficit or the the borrowing of the government. And so, all we're doing is digging ourselves in a bigger hole. And it's just going to be an added tax effectively on businesses and people. Cars are going to cost more, electricity is going to cost more, et cetera.
Which sectors have benefited most from Donald Trump's tax cuts?
Companies with international operations, he's encouraging people to, onshore profits that they've left offshore, and that's helped put a lot of money back into the U.S. economy and accounts for some of the low interest rates that we're continuing to benefit from. So again, manufacturing, service sector, small businesses in particular, they have what's called the qualified business interest deduction, which allows small businesses to reduce their taxable income by 20%. Joe Biden would get rid of that. Just so many things, and just jacking the tax rates back up to an uncompetitive level internationally.
I see some of the sectors that might do well from Joe Biden's handouts, such as the electric cars, charging stations, wind and solar. Can you name others?
Well, let me just frame this that I'm not anti-environmentalism. I was a founding member of Surfrider Foundation. I like clean water. I like clean air. But at the same time, as a businessman, you have to look at this in moderation. And first of all, when you're looking at 2050 to be net zero, nationally, we don't even know what technologies will be out there by then. And so I think some of this is just going to be some of the environmental issues will be cleared up with just new inventions that are going to be coming down, in the next decade or two. But if we reduce entrepreneurs because you're taxing the heck out of them and they don't even want to take the risk of becoming an entrepreneur, you're going to lose out on the ability to do that.
The Biden plan promises 100% clean energy and net zero emissions by 2050. Currently, renewable energy makes up about, I think it's about 11%. So how will it be possible to get to the 100% mark for clean energy without massive subsidies? I mean, they've got to subsidise it, don't they? Because 11% at the moment, it's just not worth talking about.
Right, and you hit the nail on the head. It's the subsidy problem, and anybody in business realizes if something's being subsidized, that means it cannot stand on its own. And so, I mean, why are we giving tax credits on electric cars that the buyers can clearly pay for the higher cost of that? And most of the people that I know that drive Teslas, kind of laugh about how, I'm getting a $3,000, $7,000 tax credit, and I would have bought the car anyway without it. But that's one of the problems. And then every taxpayer is subsidizing that Tesla or Chevy electric vehicle. Not picking on Tesla, but it just doesn't make sense. And I'm all for alternative energy, but it needs to stand on its own. And we may need to wait for technologies to become more efficient before we adopt them.
Biden will ensure the agricultural sector, poor farmers, will be the first in the world to achieve net zero emissions. Apparently the cows are just creating havoc with passing wind, but the agricultural sector would have to be concerned that they're being targeted first. I mean, how would you like to be a farmer in this day and age? You wouldn't, would you? I mean, you got all of Mother Nature against you. If God wakes up grumpy one day, you got a really bad year ahead of you, and then you have possibly the new president coming in saying, well, you got windy cows, you're hurting our planet, we're going to do something about that. So it's a little scary.
Yeah, and if you read his plan, which I have, he's careful to say that he will partner, or his administration will partner with family farms. But he's, so I think he's clearly going to go after the big corporate farmers and, take them to task on all of their practices. He may be kinder and gentler to the family farm, but he's, and there's a lot of agricultural activities going out there that are, big conglomerates, and I think they're going to pay the price for the small guy.
It's it's all nice having these, and we always you think about what we would do if we were God or the president, how we would change that, and you think, well, reality says you can only do so much. Yet we're on the edge of a new era, and we have Joe Biden on his website sort of saying, I support the Green New Deal, and then there's no, we don't support that. But we have all these unknowns, and looking at history, we would probably say that the Democrats, or Joe Biden, is heading down a path that will probably cost many thousands of jobs, and to think that renewables will create new jobs or enough to replace the ones that are lost, that's fanciful thinking, isn't it?
Right, and I think there's some balance that could be done if they want to give out the incentives on the front end while the technology is being proven, and then claw some of that back and say, okay, again, I'll pick on Tesla for the moment and say, hey, look, we gave on an average $5,000 of credit per car that you sold, so that made your sales increase. And now that you've gone through the startup phase and are making a lot of money, we are going to, now charge you to recoup some of those credits that we gave the individual taxpayer. I'm all for that type of thing where you just even things out later on, and you can set up some self-funding structures like that in the tax policy. But to just give it away and then penalize whole new groups down the road, including consumers, just makes no sense to me.
From an investment point of view, renewables are still good?
Yes, I mean I'm working on some very large solar projects. I've worked on just a wide variety of alternative fuels, etc. But and then some technologies they hate, like fracking, which has made us energy independent here in the U.S. And the Biden administration just doesn't like that. Certainly the Green New Deal wants no part of that, and Biden is saying he says a whole lot of different things on fracking, but he certainly doesn't seem like a fan of that. Mm. And anybody will tell you that has created hundreds of billions of dollars of revenue for the U.S., a lot of tax collections related to that, and it's made us independent.
Trump's now out of hospital, and but do you think that will have any effect on the election? Being some of the pundits were saying that by being in hospital, it may win him part of the sympathy vote, and others were saying that it's just all a bit of a hoax. It's fake news. What do you think?
When I first heard, my first reaction was, my wife was very upset about it. I looked at it as a positive because it's kind of played out like I thought it would, that if he goes in and is back on his feet fairly quickly, and I'm still cautious. I'm afraid, I don't know that he's out of the woods yet. But, with him getting home just a couple of days after, him going into the hospital and looking very strong, if this continues, I think it makes him look a little bit invincible, and probably plays into a lot more of his narrative that, hey, this is a real disease, but it's not going to kill us all. And I'm a 74-year-old guy, and it didn't kill me. And so let's get on with things. So I think, and then he can talk also from, he's had it. He knows how people feel, and so he can speak with a lot more authority. And and then you question, hey, Biden hasn't had it. What if he doesn't survive if he gets it? At least we know, hopefully Trump will continue to survive.
Just another question before we wind this up. What's happened to America? I mean, if you once had a president in hospital that possibly was in a very serious way, it would bring America together again, because they would drop all this political crap that's going on. But this time we saw the vitriol that came out, and the hate, and what's happened to America? Yeah,
it's pretty ugly out there, and in the past, you're right. It would have, people would have been on good behavior for a week, and then, once he recovered, then he would be fair game to be on, late night talk show jokes and things like that. And now in real time, with social media and everything, it just gets ugly right out of the block. So I just have low expectations of human nature. And it's pretty mean. And I always think of, what would I have done, with Biden, he had got it, I would have prayed for him also. I don't want anybody dying over this. I don't want, to feel guilty about wishing somebody to go to an early grave, but there's a lot of mean-spirited people out there right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, I hear that Joe Biden's a really nice guy, and I hear that Donald Trump is a really, away from the cameras and the limelight, he's a pretty good bloke too. And yet we have this vitriol, or this theatre that's going on about how terrible either one of those are. It's not America. I mean, America was always that, the Statue of Liberty, that shining light, and it's sort of at the moment, it's looking a bit dim, isn't it?
Yeah, and all of the fingers point to Trump, because he does have a kind of a tough guy, image, and he does. But if you take a hard look at it, including the debate, most of it starts off as defensive posturing. He's usually not the first guy throwing the stone. And again, if you look at the first debate, the first three talkovers and rudeness was Biden. But even to this day, Trump is accused of being the guy that started the whole ruckus.
Very clever, though, that they brought in the extra man on Biden's side with Chris Wallace. He did a great job for the Democrats, and I would like to see what his paycheck was like too, by the way. Look, Blake, great chatting again. If somebody wants to find out more about Park City and the beautiful skiing in the near future, or want to talk to you about taxation or opportunity zones, or just get on the phone to have a good old natter, how would they do that?
Yeah, the easiest way to find me, actually, you can just Google me, Blake Christian CPA, or www.hcbt.com.
Blake, thank you very much.
Always good to talk to you.